So yeah, up in this lesson, we're going to talk about month end and what the mindset of wholesale traders, which are market makers and primary brokerage accounts are like going, like what they're trying to accomplish during this time. So have you ever noticed that historically around the end of the month or the quarter, we might get a flush of the market and then it rips up faster and higher than the original price it flushed at? And it does this all before the month ends. Well, in this lesson, we are going to break that down and talk about the actual logic of what is happening during the time and this time, whether it's month end or quarter end. So let's get after it. The people who own these primary brokerage firms are some of the grittiest old bastards you will ever meet. They would rather sell one of their children than keep money in a bank account with the clearing and settlement firms. Now, this has settled down a lot since back in the day due to like the public companies, but it still happens more so than not. Now, month end is when these primary brokerages and market makers go risk off. Why, you might ask? Two reasons. You have to report your monthly and quarterly profits and loss statements with your clients that give you the money to trade with at the end of the month. And then they pay you based off of your returns. And you will get fired faster than anything if you bring a sloppy report to them, and they'll replace you. Try taking a report to your boss tomorrow and tell him that you need to wire $5 million tomorrow to protect an account you royally screwed up, and see if you have a job at the end of the day. The same thing applies in the markets. This is why you see month end usually getting marked up and going like in a positive note. The second reason is you get fresh credit at the beginning of the month to play with. It is like getting a clean credit card, and guess who doesn't get a fresh new credit card if they turn in a report showing that they are offside on an account at the end of the month, which caused a net capital drain. So now that we understand the logic to this, we are going to see an example of what it looks like on the chart. So this chart is the month of August, which it's September 9th or something right now. This is month in August, and just because the steps happen this way in August doesn't mean it has to happen, right? But a short position was placed, as you can see in number 1, right? We get a short position, and we know it's a short position because from the 22nd to the 23rd, it gapped up, and we know that a gap up is a short position, and a short position is someone selling something they don't own, trying to buy it back at a cheaper price. So in this case, somebody out there with size said, hey, I think the market's going to correct and start crashing, right? Maybe they're preparing for month end flush, whatever. Either way, there's a short position, and this short position led to, now remember, a gap up short position means somebody sold something they don't own, but the people who actually own the product aren't willing to sell it yet. So after that short position was established, we go to number 2, and we see that we have a P-shaped profile trapped in the short position and squeezing their margin right now. All right. From the 23rd to the 25th, we build this overhanging supply. We kind of stay in balance for 2 days, and then we start trying to go higher. And we just build that overhanging supply, right? Now, during this whole time, from the P short position, there's a big bid place, right? And now we're going to move to 5, right? They flush the market, right? And you're going to notice, if you look historically on the ES or any market, right, usually about somewhere between 10 days, 7 days, 6 days, 4 days, 3 days, 2 days, whatever, before month end, they flush the position. Now, why do they flush the position? Usually it's because of number 1, where the short position is established, right? Somebody's left upside down, right? So they flush the position, they flush the market, and they trap the short positions. Now, the short positions will cover which is them buying to close for a loss, right? So when you sell something you don't own, or you're shorting, you're the seller, right? And you look to buy it back at a cheaper price. Well, when they flush a position, that big ass bid from step 4 prevented the market from going down any lower than that, right? Because we don't want the shorts to get profits, right? So they buy to close for a loss, and then the trapped longs from the overhanging supply sell to close their positions if they don't have a big enough bank account, because as we can see, T+2 is violated, which led to margin calls. All right, this all opens up supply. And then these primary brokerage accounts and the market makers get to collect that inventory, right? And, at this time of the month, there's not too many initiative buyers happening. So usually it's less personnel, moving the market around, but they collect the whole inventory. And then price can rip just straight up high and fast. Why? Because no one is in the way to stop them. There's no liquidity there to stop them. They trap the long and the shorts and have all the inventory. And then we can see that on step 6, which is actually T+2 of month end, right? And if any of these terminology that I'm using is confusing you, I made classes on all of this. Go back and refer to those classes so you can start tying it together when we start talking about this more complex these topics, Then we're going to jump to step 7. Like we already know, at this point, market makers and primary brokerage accounts, they're risk off, and they sell the inventory while their clients are smiling and happy to issue them fresh credit for the next month, right? Now, what does risk off mean? Risk off is a simple term that they're not going to short the market unless we are in a bearish market. Why? Because that's going to lead to them being upside down in a trade, which is going to lead to them issuing a sloppy report to their clients, which is going to lead to their clients fire them. So pay attention to this, because this stuff is important. I hope this class helped, and we're going to move forward.